If your soil is lifeless, dry, cracked, and resistant to anything you plant, you're not alone. It's a common problem, especially in raised beds or neglected backyard plots. You might have already tried compost, manure, even fertilizers, and still nothing seems to wake that soil back up. But what if the answer isn't modern science, but something ancient? There's a plant used by the Pueblo people of the American Southwest that was never grown for food, but for soil. It's not flashy, it's not sold in garden centers, but it's a quiet miracle worker, especially in hard, compacted, or sun-baked earth. And here's the best part, it works faster than most compost piles. This plant doesn't just cover the soil, it feeds it, heals it, and revives it from the root up. It recruits microbes, it holds in moisture, it even prevents erosion, and unlike compost, you don't have to wait months for it to break down. Stick around, because in this video, we'll dig deep into why this forgotten Pueblo plant was trusted to keep the soil fertile in desert conditions, and how you can use it to transform even your deadest dirt into a living, breathing garden bed again. Why does soil die in the first place? Dead soil isn't just dry or nutrient poor, it's biologically empty. Living soil teems with bacteria, fungi, earthworms, beetles, and microscopic life that feed your plants by breaking down organic matter and recycling nutrients. But when that web of life is broken by over-fertilizing, repeated tilling, chemical herbicides, or plain old neglect, soil loses its heartbeat. Dead soil stops absorbing water, it crusts over. The roots of plants struggle to penetrate it, and even when you feed it with compost or fertilizers, the nutrients don't go anywhere. They're not absorbed, they don't stick around. That's because it's not the compost itself that feeds your plants, it's the microbes compost feeds. Without organic cover, moisture evaporates quickly. Without life underground, any organic matter added just sits there, locked in a waiting room with no one to process it. That's why the first step to healing soil is reintroducing life, not just adding inputs. Common soil revival methods, and their limits. Many gardeners instinctively turn to compost to fix poor soil. And yes, compost is gold when it's alive. But even the best compost can be too slow to take effect if the soil ecosystem is completely collapsed. Vermicompost, manure, compost teas, and cover crops all help, if conditions are already supportive. Mulching is another favorite. It suppresses weeds, traps moisture, and cools the surface. But mulch alone can't revive lifeless soil, it just protects it from getting worse. You still need something to jumpstart the biology. Tillage? It might seem like a quick fix, but it often makes things worse. Tilling destroys fungal networks, disrupts worm channels, and dries out the soil layers even faster. The soil might look fluffy at first, but underneath, the damage is deep. What's needed is a living bridge, something that can grow in dead soil, survive harsh conditions, and slowly reawaken the underground web of life from the inside. Meet the forgotten Pueblo plant, the buffalo bean. This humble hero is known as Tephrosia virginiana, or more commonly, buffalo bean. Indigenous to the arid Southwest and cherished by the Pueblo and Hopi peoples, it's not a food crop, but it might be the ultimate soil medicine. Buffalo bean is a nitrogen-fixing perennial legume that thrives in poor, sandy, and even degraded soils. Its roots form nodules that harbor rhizobium bacteria, tiny powerhouses that pull nitrogen from the atmosphere and convert it into a form plants can use. But that's just the beginning. This plant doesn't just feed soil with nitrogen, it also exudes sugars and amino acids from its roots called exudates. These exudates wake up soil microbes, attracting beneficial fungi, bacteria, and even predatory nematodes that help balance the underground ecosystem. Its deep taproot loosens compacted ground while its soft foliage shades and cools the surface. Over time, buffalo bean becomes a soil nurse, fixing nitrogen, stabilizing moisture, cooling the earth, and pumping carbon and biology deep into the root zone where compost often can't reach. In traditional Pueblo farming, buffalo bean was sometimes interplanted in fallow plots, not for harvest, but for restoration. After intensive maize or squash planting seasons, fields were left to rest, and plants like buffalo bean were encouraged to take over. Their role was simple: restore balance. Rather than composting everything manually, Pueblo farmers used in situ fertility, letting plants feed the soil in place. Buffalo bean was favored because it resisted drought, grew back year after year, and required no tending. The following season, fields were easier to dig, more moist, and visibly richer. Its yellow pea-like flowers also attracted beneficial pollinators and predator insects, creating a stable above-ground ecosystem while the roots healed the soil below. How to use buffalo bean in your garden. Today, you can still find buffalo bean seeds online, especially through native plant nurseries. It's slow to start, but tough as nails once established. Sow it directly into beds you're not actively using, or mix it with other cover crops in rotation beds. For compacted soil, slightly scarify the surface with a garden fork. Don't dig, just open channels. Water lightly after sowing and mulch with dried leaves or cardboard strips to hold moisture. Avoid adding fertilizer. Buffalo bean thrives in lean soil and actually works harder when conditions are rough. Over the first season you'll notice its roots growing deep and strong. In year 2, soil will be visibly looser, darker, and springier. If you cut the plant back before flowering, it will regrow stronger the next season. If you let it flower, bees will thank you, and seeds will self-sow for the future. What makes buffalo bean better than compost alone? Compost adds nutrients. But buffalo bean builds the pathways that allow those nutrients to move. The roots create channels for water and air, while feeding the fungal networks compost needs to thrive. It doesn't just feed, it invites life back in. Worms follow the root zones. Mycorrhizal fungi colonize its root hairs. The rhizosphere, the narrow zone around the root, is literally electrified with microbial chatter. And unlike compost, which must be turned, monitored, and sometimes purchased or transported, buffalo bean does its work silently, season after season. You can mow it, slash it, or chop and drop it as mulch when it matures, adding its rich biomass back into the soil in place. It's a regenerative loop that doesn't depend on you, just on time, roots, and the natural wisdom built into the plant. Pairing buffalo bean with other soil revival methods. To supercharge the results, you can pair buffalo bean with other regenerative techniques. One powerful combo is buffalo bean plus cardboard layering. Plant buffalo bean directly into slits in wet cardboard mulch. The cardboard suppresses weeds and locks in moisture, while the bean punches roots through the soil below, reviving dead zones from the bottom up. Another trick, apply compost tea or vermicast tea to buffalo bean patches monthly. The roots will absorb the nutrients and funnel them deeper into the soil, acting like living injection systems. In winter, let the top foliage die back and compost in place. The remaining root systems stay alive, holding structure and protecting your soil from erosion. Come spring, it springs back. What to expect? A timeline of results. In the first few weeks, buffalo bean may seem slow. It invests heavily in root growth early on. But don't be fooled. Underground, it's already changing your soil. By the 3rd month, you'll notice improved tilth. Soil crumbles instead of clumping. By month 6, microbial tests, even basic DIY ones, will show a spike in fungal activity. Your compost will begin to disappear faster into the soil. Water retention improves. Earthworm sightings increase. After one full growing season, the soil is transformed, not just because something was added, but because the soil life came back. And when soil life returns, everything changes, from seed germination rates to harvest yields. Why, you've probably never heard of this plant until now. Buffalo bean isn't trendy. It's not sold by big seed houses, and it doesn't have the marketing buzz of crimson clover or hairy vetch. But in the world of regenerative gardening, sometimes the most powerful solutions are the quietest. Passed down in oral tradition, used by indigenous cultures and overlooked by modern agriculture, it's the underdog your soil's been waiting for. And now, it's time to bring it back. Final thoughts: let your soil heal itself, with a little help from the past. Modern problems often have ancient answers, and in the case of dead soil, the fix doesn't have to come in a bag. It can grow, it can breathe, it can restore itself, if we give it the right companion. Buffalo bean is more than just a cover crop. It's a living soil medicine, a slow-release biological engine, and a tribute to indigenous wisdom that understood something we're only now relearning. Soil isn't just a resource, it's alive. If you're tired of fighting your garden, start working with it. Trust the roots. Trust the process. Let buffalo bean wake up your soil from below. Enjoyed this guide? If this video gave you new insight or inspired you to try something different in your garden, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next deep dive into regenerative gardening. And share this with a fellow gardener who's struggling with dead soil. This forgotten plant might just change their season. Thanks for watching Hydro Haven, where we decode the dirt, one secret at a time.